Hey there, this is Teacher Podcast episode 328. Everything you need to know about no. You read English, you understand English, you've been learning for years, but when it's time to speak, your mind just freezes and the words don't come out. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. My name's Ola and this is Teacher Ola Podcast. I'm here to help you finally speak out loud. This isn't about perfect grammar or fancy vocabulary. This is about your voice, your words, your real English. Good evening and welcome back to the show. I'm really glad you're here because today we're talking about a very small word and looking at it from every possible angle. And by the end of this episode, you'll realize that this tiny word is doing much more work in your English than you probably thought. Before we do just that, I want to tell you about something that's coming up very soon. On the 8th of March, I'm running a live class called Present Not That Simple. And the reason I'm mentioning it now is because today's episode connects to it more than you might expect. And here's the interesting part. No is one of those verbs that we most often use in present simple. We say I know, I don't know, do you know, does she know? We use it to talk about facts, about certainty, opinions, awareness, but we don't usually say I am knowing. That sounds wrong, right? And yeah, that would be wrong. And there's a reason for that. Know is what we call a stative verb. It describes a state, not an action. And this is exactly the kind of thing that makes the present tenses tricky. It's one of those things because it's not only about time, it's about meaning, obviously. It's about whether something is in process or in action, or maybe it's just a repeated habit or a state. So today, while we're exploring this tiny word no, you'll also start noticing how it behaves in the present simple tense. And this is exactly the kind of clarity we're going to build in the live class Present Not That Simple on the 8th of March 2026. If you've ever felt that the present tenses are simple, but not that simple, you know all the theory, but still when speaking, you keep making mistakes, or you're not sure whether you do because you just cannot hear yourself and nobody corrects you, then this class is for you. Sign up at teacherola.com/simple. Now, let's get into it. Today we're talking about a very small word. The word is no. 4 letters. That's it. But the number of ways we use it, huge. So let's start with the basics. No is an irregular verb. It goes know, knew, known. So we say, I know the answer. Yesterday, I knew the answer. And I've known her for years. If you're learning English, this is one of those verbs you just have to remember. There's no shortcut, you just need to know it. And today's class is going to help you boost your vocabulary because these phrases are all so common. You just don't realize how common. So I'm sure you will enjoy it. Let's go. So what does know actually mean? At its core, it means that something is already in your head. You've learned it, you're familiar with it, or you're sure about it. If I say I don't know what this word means, it means the information isn't in my brain yet. If I say, how well do you know Gina? Oh, that's very different. Now I'm asking about your familiarity with her. And if I say, I knew you would say that, oh, that's again another meaning. That's about certainty. I was sure. I knew you wouldn't say that. Now, let's get into how we actually use this verb in real life, because this is where things get interesting. First pattern, know plus a noun. For example, I know Peter. Do you know this song? I know London quite well. So this is about familiarity. If you say, I know her, it means you've met her, you've talked to her, you're not strangers. And if you add an adverb like well or very well, you're describing the level of familiarity. I know him very well. Sounds close, maybe even personal. I don't know him very well, or I don't really know him, creates distance. It suggests that you've met, but that's about it. Second pattern, know about something. For example, he doesn't know about the accident. She knows a lot about psychology. So here we're talking about having information about a topic or a situation. There's a big difference between I know her and I know about her. The second sounds like gossip. You've heard things, you've got information, but you don't necessarily have a relationship with that person, especially when we talk about people like, celebrities, actors, singers, musicians, just famous people. We don't know them, but we know about them. Third pattern, know of. This one is subtle. If I say I know of him, it means I've heard the name. I'm aware he exists, but I don't actually know him. It's distant, Imagine someone says, do you know any good graphic designers? Do you know any good, maybe pediatrician? Do you know any good dermatologist? And you say, I know of someone. That means you've heard about someone, maybe someone recommended them once to you, but you don't have personal experience. You're not ready to say, yes, I know them, they are brilliant. Next, we have no plus that clause. For example, I know that you're tired. Or did you know that Helen moved abroad? Did you know that Sarah has moved out? This is about facts. You're talking about your awareness of something that is true. When you say, I know that, you sound certain, confident. And it's not a guess. It's not a feeling. It's something you believe is a fact. Then we move to know plus a question word. For example, know what, know where, know why, know how, know who, know when. For example, do you know where the nearest bus stop is? Notice something very important here. We don't say, do you know where is the bus stop? That sounds like a direct question. After know, the word order becomes normal, subject plus verb. Do you know where the bus stop is? The structure is everywhere in spoken English. For example, I don't know why he left. She knows what she wants. It's all about information. It's about your familiarity with the circumstances, the reasons, the details. And finally, know plus a question word plus to infinitive. For example, I know how to swim. She doesn't know what to say. Do you know how to fix this? So this is about skills or practical knowledge. I know how to drive means I have the skill. I don't know what to do means I'm confused about the next step and I don't have that knowledge. And I don't have that plan. Now, let's talk about collocations. These are the words that naturally go together with know. You'll hear them often. I'm sure you already know it. Let's go through it. I know exactly what you mean, and that exactly adds precision. Or I don't know for certain, which seems you're not completely sure. She knows full well what she's doing. It's interesting because it suggests the person is pretending not to know, but actually they do. She knows full well what she's doing. And also, you know perfectly well. That often sounds slightly accusatory, like, you know perfectly well why I'm upset, and that's so emotional. That's not neutral at all. And you'll also hear, let me know. That's one of the most common phrases in English. It simply means tell me, let me know. And get to know is about the process. For instance, it takes time to get to know someone. You don't instantly know a person deeply. It builds over time. Now let's move on to set phrases, because this is where your English becomes really natural. If someone says, that exam was awful, you can reply, I know. And you're not saying you have information. You're saying that you agree. It's emotional agreement. I know. It's so cold these days. I know. On the other hand, I don't know about that is often polite disagreement. So someone says that diet works for everyone, and you say, well, I don't know about that. And this way you are softening your doubt. It's much nicer than saying, that's rubbish. So, I don't know about that. It's much more delicate. No. You know, at the end of a sentence is very conversational. For instance, it was kind of awkward, You're inviting the other person to connect with you. You're checking that they feel the same. Can also mean something else though. If you add it into your sentence somewhere in the middle, it's a clever way to add extra information. For example, Adam, my cousin is getting married again. So you're helping the listener remember who Adam is. Has one more very useful function. It gives you time. It's a filler. And of course, you sound more confident without those fillers like, but sometimes you just need one to fill a pause, What is it with Adam? He's acting so weird. You know what I mean? Is how you check if the other person is following your idea. You're making sure they're still with you. You know what I mean? And then you never know. It's optimistic and uncertain, but, maybe she'll say yes. You never know. It leaves the door open for possibility, so things can still turn out better than you expect. Not that I know of. It's interesting. Imagine someone asks you, is Anna at home? And you say, not that I know of. You're basically saying, as far as I'm aware, no. But I could be wrong. So it's a phrase that protects you, not that I know of. And you're not taking full responsibility for the information. You think yes, but you don't know for sure. Speaking of that, we also use as far as I know. For example, as far as I know, the only vegetarian at work is Carl. That means this is what I believe to be true, but I don't have complete information as far as I know. It's very useful when you don't want to sound too confident. Then there's for all I know. If someone doesn't answer their phone, you might say, for all I know, he's still sleeping. It means that this is your guess. This is what you think might be true, but you really don't have solid information. And finally, let's talk about knowing at the beginning of a sentence. For example, knowing Tom, he'll be late. Knowing John, he won't be home till 3 a.m. So this doesn't mean that you are in the process of knowing, not at all. It means you're making a prediction based on their personality. You're saying, because I know what he's like, I can guess what will happen. It's about your experience and it's about understanding someone's character. Knowing Anna, she will pack lunch for everybody. She always cares for everyone. And this is actually a perfect place to invite you a little bit further, because knowing vocabulary and knowing grammar rules is one thing, but using them naturally, confidently, in real time is not that simple. That's exactly why I'm inviting you to my live webinar called Present Not That Simple. And we're going to look at the present tenses, present simple, specifically in English, in a way that finally makes it clear, practical and usable in real conversations. It's happening on the 8th of March and I would absolutely love to see you there. If today's episode made you realize that even a simple word like no has layers, imagine what we can do with the present tenses together. Join me on the 8th of March for Present Not That Simple, and until then, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep getting to know English a little bit better every day. Now it's time for you to practice, so listen and repeat. Say it out loud. Let's go. I know London quite well. I know London quite well. He doesn't know about the accident. He doesn't know about the accident. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It was kind of awkward, you know. It was kind of awkward, you know. She doesn't know what to say. She doesn't know what to say. I know of someone. I know of someone. I know that you're tired. I know that you're tired. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? As far as I know, the only vegetarian at work is Carl. As far as I know, the only vegetarian at work is Carl. Knowing Tom, he'll be late. Knowing Tom, he'll be late. That is all from me for now. Don't forget to head over to teacherola.com/328 and grab your free worksheet. Learning is revising, as I always say. So grab that worksheet and practice. And if you want to learn more about present simple, find your gaps and spot old mistakes you keep making out of habit, sign up now at teacherola.com/simple. teacherola.com/simple. The webinar Present Not That Simple takes place on the 8th of March 2026. Thank you so much for listening. Stay fearless, take care, and say it out loud. I love you, I believe in you, I know you are ready to speak English. I'm your teacher, Teacher Ola, and you've been listening to Teacher Ola Podcast. Bye for now.